Okay, welcome and thank you everybody for joining us on this Portugal Calling webinar. We are looking at everything to do with shipping and pet relocation to Portugal, and our special guests tonight from Global International Relocation are Luis and Ricardo. Luis, good evening to you. How are you?
Good evening. Everything is fine. And yourself? Doing good?
Very, very good. It was such fun to talk to you on the morning show the other day. Great to have a longer session to talk with you and find out more about the company and pet relocation. Maybe you could introduce yourself, your colleague Ricardo, and of course Lucy, who's with you in the office tonight.
There you go. Lucy is actually many times in the office with us. She's my smallest dog. That's why she comes into the office, because I have a bigger one.
Oh,
but,
okay.
My name is Luis Ricardo. I'm from Global International. I'm the sales director here, and I have been here for a very long time, from the beginning. But the important person of today is Ricardo. Ricardo is our pets coordinator, salesman. Everything in pets is with Ricardo. So I call him my boss in the pets division. So this is Ricardo Bento, and he's the man of the show today that will be, presenting us with all about pets that we need to know for transporting, etc. Okay,
great stuff. Okay, if we could go a little bit general first, and I wonder if you might tell us a little bit about your company, who I believe, if I remember rightly from the morning show, you're building a second storage facility. You say you've been there from the start. It's a company with a long-standing history in shipping to Portugal. Correct. Going through an amazing expansion at the moment as well. Tell us about GRI.
Yeah, Global International Relocation is a Portuguese company. Okay, we were established in 2008, and I joined the company actually in December of 2008, and we opened in April that year. So I joined as I normally say, when I was just a little baby, and now I'm able to to keep going in the company. It's funny because we started as a company of 4 people, with just one truck and a few people that would be working with us on a day-to-day basis. Okay, and we grew to be a company of, we have 3 facilities in Portugal. We are in Porto, in Lisbon, and in Faro, in the Algarve area. It's actually, the city is Lolé. We have the divisions of moving, relocation, immigration. We have pets division. We have record storage, so for the files to store files. Then we have fine arts, and we have also fairs and events. So it's a very unique company because we embrace all areas of mobility. All right, for what matters to us. It's very important to know that we have started as a company that really cares about people, and that has been the main source of, I would say, success in the company. There's a lot of companies in Portugal, and why would one company be able to progress so much as we have done till today? Because in the end of the day, we do care about what we are doing, about the people we work for. And it's not to say that we are perfect. We are not perfect. And there are some bad situations that happen. Okay, this is true. But even though they happen, we always try to deal with all the situations the best way possible, try to be fair, to be, balanced with everyone that we work for. And for a start, this is Global International. We can go in depth or go a little bit further to any other stuff, But
yeah, sorry, I called you GRI, not GIR. So GIR, Global International Relocation, everybody. And I'm guessing a few more than 4 guys in a truck now. How big is
a bit more than 4 guys in the truck. Now we have actually about 80 something people in the whole company. When we come to the summertime, we have, for all moving companies in the world, summertime, the peak season, from May till September, Nowadays it's November actually. We have lots of moves going on, and in those days we need to reinforce our team. And so in those months we have more people coming in that we have already given training and that work with us on that specific time. Okay, so they work with us like half of the year to say, and in that time we have about 100 people working in Global International, something like that.
Wow.
Packing teams, you need to have a lot of people. So
And did you say November is peak season?
nowadays, yes, it's
Why
still.
is that? Why is
Well, especially after COVID, we are seeing that peak season is not stopping. It's like there's a lot of people moving still in November. You know, it's not logical, okay? Because the logical part, it would be for people to, you know, the break of school to move. You understand? So in between July and September.
Cool.
But we see that there's a lot of people also retiring in Portugal. And so there's no time for that. You see, can be November, can be December, can be anytime. So it's okay. And we see that a lot nowadays.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so well, thank you for the general overview. We can take questions of any kind to do with the whole company. But of course, your colleague is with you, sat next to you, who's the specialist in pet relocation. What's a typical day like for you, Ricardo?
Well, it's every day. It's a new surprise for me. Today, when I arrived to the office, I had no idea that I needed to go to see a pet on a pet hotel to take him some pictures. I was not aware that I needed to go to the airport just to do a check-in. But it's one of those things that we like to do, and sometimes when it happens, we complain at the beginning. But at the end of the day, it's always nice. It's always a nice day.
Sure. So tell us more generally about your job and the extent to which you go to and the kinds of animals. Did I hear a duck in there, or is that somebody's ringtone?
That's my mess. That's my text.
Oh, Laurie, honestly. Laurie, messing with us there. Sorry, I'm definitely muting you up for that, Laurie. So that's not coming from the GIR office. Ricardo, tell us more about the service, about pet relocation.
First of all, let me tell Laurie that at the moment we are only specialized in dogs and cats, but in the future we might help her transporting a duck. That's our goal. That's our goal. Okay. But in truth, our goal is always to help creating solutions, because in terms of pets, most of the times it's not I like, at least it's the way I like to think. It's not as a business, but most of the times we do our business helping our customers, and that is the truth. The pets relocation for someone that never did it, someone that is transporting or traveling with a pet for the first time, can be a bit of a headache. Okay, so our goal is always to pass all the information on a clear way. Okay, and all these bureaucracies and all these requirements that each country has, that the airlines have. Well, the goal is to make a safe way of transporting pets worldwide. Okay. So our first goal is always to make it clear, pass clear information to our clients, and well, finding the fitter solution for them.
Yeah, because these are people's fur babies, aren't they? They're referred to. So people are obviously very attached to their pets. And I'd like to talk more about the whole process so that we can put people's minds at rest. I say fur babies. Maria is just saying my new tenant arrives Tuesday with 2 hairless cats. They're the exception, I suppose, when it comes to fur babies. They will apparently, watch out in Tamar, they will be parading around with the cats in a stroller. So there's another amazing thing to see, along with the Templar delights in Tamar. You'll be able to see hairless cats being paraded around in a stroller. So back to fur babies then, in this journey, and a great question already in. So do get your questions into the chat, please, and I'll put them to Ricardo and Luis.
There's actually an interesting question. If it's less stressful to move pets in autumn or winter, you know, it depends on the pets. It's actually an interesting question because there are breeds that do require them to be actually traveling only in times that the temperature is lower. Okay, so I'm talking about the how do you say, snub-nosed dogs, you know, like there we go.
No, when I was telling you about solutions, that is we have to have many things in consideration: breeds, time of the year, airlines, dangerous breeds, countries that don't accept pets. Sometimes we have to enter by another country to make a connection to a certain country. So when I told you about solutions, sometimes we really need to work hard to find a solution. Yeah.
So let's say let's you have a case study here. Can you talk us through from start to finish? Somebody rings you up. I've got my dear precious pet. I want to move from the United States to Portugal. How are you going to manage that whole process?
Well, first of all, I would need to know a bit more about your baby, everything about him. I would like to listen to you talk about him for at least some good 5 minutes, okay? But basically at the end, crucial information would be the breeds, the weight, age would be nice to know. And of course, we are quoted by the airlines on volume of the crate, transporting your pet. Yeah. So your pet would need to be very comfortable on a crate. A crate, of course, prepared for international travel, which is not any crate you find on the supermarkets. Okay, absolutely not. And then, based on the volume,
it's important.
We can quote you, and I can give you an idea of prices for you to have in consideration. And then, for talking about requirements, your pet would need to have, of course, a rabies vaccination, which is the basic vaccination to travel. Okay. Of course, a microchip, which is also basic. And then if you have everything okay at the end of the process with everything arranged, you would go to USDA, which is the veterinary authority in the United States. You gave me the example of the States. Yeah. So and they would pass a golden paper called the health certificate, which is to put it in a simple way, it's the United States authorities telling the Portuguese ones, Carl's pet, it's fine. He is not a threat to the Portuguese sanitary. So that's those kinds of bureaucracies. Well, as I told you at the beginning, are a bit tiring. It's a bit complicated for the common person to understand, but they were made to make everything safe, to make all the transportation simpler for the pets, not for ourselves, but especially for the pets.
Yeah. Okay. So all well and good. And so the next step then, we've made sure the crate's right. We've got the paperwork in place. And the thing with this, of course, is this is often the first time, so people don't know what to expect or what to do, and you can make a lot of assumptions, couldn't you? So good to talk it through, I think. Then the person takes their pet to the airport, or you can arrange collection and then embarkation onto the flight.
That's the thing. Well, the basic or the thing that people look most of the times is for the regular air freight or the road freight. The transportation basically, but then we have all the complements that someone would need, pets transportation to the final destination, or at the beginning from origin residency to the airport, a pet hotel because you arrive 2 days later. We will take care of your baby. We can add custom clearance if you are traveling overseas. We can arrange for instance, all the veterinary procedures. If you are not, let's say you are a busy man, you don't have time to take your pets to the vet check, to the deworming, we can arrange a solution. So all these little services that are a complement to the big transportation, we can arrange that as well.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so door to door basically is what we're talking about, right?
Door to door, door to airport, airport to airport, depending on the actual decision. There are a lot of owners, that a lot of families, let's say in this way, that when you think about a dog, it's like, or kids, is it better for me to leave my kid in the airport for him to go because I know I put him in the airport and now I know he's leaving? Or is it better for me to have someone pick him up, take him to the airport and go? Depends on the family, depends on the decision, but we do we do all kinds of services with the pets. That's for sure. Differently with the moves, okay? It's much more flexible with the pets in that sense than we are with the moves.
Okay, excellent. And we have some questions, and some comments as well. Maria, again, moved with a Bichon Frise, is that right? And we flew out of Newark. So it sounds like Newark is good with a shortish flight with no layover. We were lucky. However, dog in the cabin, I want to ask you about this. Is it cargo or is it can you have somebody accompanying the pet in the cabin? But for Maria, my dog flew in the cabin, never again, so stressful. If we ever fly with him again, cargo for sure, a bit counterintuitive, but that was our experience. So how do pets tend to travel? Do they have an accompaniment? What's that word? Like somebody to come alongside them, an assistant almost. Chaperone is the word I'm looking for. Or do they go in the cargo?
Doing a cargo. We are specialized in transporting pets as cargo. We can advise, and we have done that already with some of our clients to advise them how to do it as we like to say, as luggage at the cabin. I'm not it's not something that I would recommend as well, because normally at the cabin they need to travel on the back tied to their body under the seat.
Yes,
they're smelling you, but they cannot be with you. It's always a bit stressful. Okay, yeah. And people, as you said before, people most of the times they don't have an experience of international pets traveling, and they think about the cargo hold as a cold and dark place where all the luggage are, and his pet is going to be fit in the middle of the luggage. It's not like that. Okay, the cargo hold, or at least the airplanes, the airline companies that do this transportation, they must have a special area on the cargo hold, okay, where they have control on temperature, lights, it's pressurized, all the sound of the engines and so on. It doesn't go inside. It's like at the cabin, okay. The only difference, it's reserved for pets transportation. It's a small part. That's why it gives us a headache finding availability, because most of the times that cargo area, it's not that big. And yes, it's much better because on that area, they have all these temperature control and so on and light, but they also have a very big room on the crates. They will be dancing around. They will relax once the flight departure and the light goes down. And of course, if they do the correct crate training that we like to recommend here at Global Pets, they will see that crate as home, as their favorite couch at home or a favorite bed. So they will just relax during the whole flight.
Yeah, next time I fly, I think I want to fly like that rather than.
We'll build a crate just for you. Don't worry.
It sounds so much better than being with all the people in the cabin. Okay, so no service.
That's an important thing, yeah.
But that sounds amazing. And you said crate training there. So you have the crate a little while before the flight so the pets can get used to it. Yes,
exactly. They must be comfortable on the crate. This is not just should, it's a must, okay? Of course, pets, they adapt more easily than we think, okay? That's at least our experience, but of course, the more adapts to the crate, the better, okay? So we always like to, once we start moving forward with the whole procedure, normally a pet relocation, we like to start as early as possible, but normally 2-3 weeks. And we like to, when we provide the crates, which is another service we do, we provide them much time before the departure for the pets to be trained, spending the night, being there with some of the owner's clothing, because pets are very sensible to smells.
Very good.
So that will help them to slowly getting adapted to the crates. And yeah, in the day of boarding, the goal is for them to see that crate as their safe area.
Yeah.
Well, to be able to relax.
It's actually interesting because a lot of people ask, should I give, a tranquilizer to my dog, something that will, for him not to be stressed out and stuff like that. It's actually a no-no, a very big no-no in that sense, because what will happen is that the heart rate, of the dogs or cats, they'll be lowered, and with the air pressure as we go up, in the sky, our tendency is also for our hearts to actually slow down naturally, you see. So if we slow it down, let's say chemically with any medicine, and then they are in the air, what may happen is that they have a stroke or they just stop, so it's not what we want to do. It's exactly what Ricardo is saying. We need to train them, we need to get them used to the crate. We need to get them used to the environment, to the smell, a little toy that he could have there or something like that to feel home, in that specific space. So he's going to spend a few hours there or a lot of hours there, some going to Australia. They took like almost 3 days to get there, So imagine if they don't get used to that and get acquainted and well acquainted with that, then they get a little bit stressed out, you see. So it's important for them to be able to get that,
Totally understand. And familiarity, and obviously having a tranquilizer is going to be a stressful thing because I don't know what's going on when that's happened. Okay, great. Thank you for that, both of you. And let's go to a few questions now. Pam, thank you for this. My vet tells me that the exam needs to be within 30 days of the flight with USDA or USDA certification. Within 10 days. Is this? I'm not sure. So maybe you should tell us how close to the flight the examination needs to be. I think that's what's behind this question.
Well, that will always depend. For instance, in Portugal, when we ship pets, there are countries that we can have the health certificate done, and it has the validity of 60 days. Some has 30, some has 10. So that will always depend. However, all pets before traveling, they must have a vet check and deworming really close to the flight. Let's say around 5 to 24 hours before the flight. So we like to take advantage of that last visit to the vet to make all the veterinary requirements for the health certificate. We like to make that on those last 5 days at least. It's the way we do it when we are advising the owner. When the owner doesn't are doing these procedures with us, well, they are advised, but they are up to their own decisions. But keep in mind that you can have all the documents needed 30 days before. But then before the flight, you always need to go back to the vet, for the vet check and deworming.
Okay, so and 5 days is your guidance on that. Sorry, I messed that up, Pam. But yeah, 30 days for the examination and then certification within 5 days. Is that correct?
And again, it always depends on the country. Well, coming to Portugal, exactly.
Yes.
Getting out, it's other story. Depends on the country as well that is going, on the breed as well. All right. Okay,
so check with you on the specifics. Okay, so it does depend. On the country of origin as well. So check with Ricardo on that. And yeah, Ricardo Bento is your man on pet relocation there. BRI, thank you for this question. And you mentioned dangerous breeds before. BRI has an 11-stone Rottweiler. Wow, that's classed as a dangerous breed in Portugal. Is a move for him still possible? And what might the cost be from the UK? So 11 stone of Rottweiler, is that possible into Portugal in the first instance?
First of all, what do you mean about 11 stone? It's like years. That's his age.
Well, I'm not able to do the mental arithmetic of how many kilos that is. Somebody else might help me with that. But we're talking about a man's weight of Rottweiler, aren't we? Is that right, BRI? 11 stone.
Well, if the airline takes it, if the airline takes him, we are happy to receive it in Portugal. Exactly. That might be the challenge. Okay.
So but a Rottweiler can come to Portugal in the first instance.
They do. Yeah, okay. It's a different procedure. Okay, when they travel as cargo, they are live cargo. They are traveling under specific regulations. But our customs, they will look at pets as cargo. So we need to do the whole clearance process, which is different. Okay, but and in terms of dangerous or potentially dangerous breeds, there are stay of notifications. For instance, in Portugal, we have something called Junta de Freguesia, which is the local tiny government. They will need to require a document certifying that someone will be staying on that freguesia for a while. They have residency there. They are guaranteeing that they will be responsible for the pet, and that's it's truly important to be advised by a broker specialized on that. It's different, but it's
doable. Different but doable. That's great. So there you go, BRI. And I think Jerry was stepping in there with a conversion. Is that right, Jerry? I think you were trying to talk to me about the...
Sorry, yes, I was, Carl, but I think someone has beaten me to it. 70 kilos, I think.
70 kilos of Rottweiler. Amazing. Okay, well, good luck with that, BRI.
Wow.
It's different.
I have a big dog, but that's
that's a big dog.
That's a very big one. I tell you what.
Thanks for that, BRI. Thanks, gents, as well for that. I'm coming to South Africa. From South Africa, of course. This is Denise. Good evening to you, Denise. Long flight, no direct flights to Lisbon, with a decent airline, that is. And one of my fur children is very nervous. All health issues, vaccinations, etc. are fine. I think it's just a nervousness that Denise isn't nervous about. So apart from the crate training, is there anything else that you would suggest for helping with extra nervy pets?
Well, the crate training, it's crucial. We like to advise a bit of exercise before the flight. The problem is normally the boarding procedures happens in the morning, so it's hard for them to do that. But I have owners that tell me I will do anything on my powers to make it easier. So I have had owners waking up at 4 a.m. Let's go for a walk. Let's do some 5 kilometers. They will be, of course, very tired. So it's going to be easier for them to relax. Because on the plane, the atmosphere for relax, it's there. So if they are tired, that's a very easy fit for them. But then there's some light eating, of course. They will be normally in big trips. For instance, Luis was talking about Australia, that normally takes 2 to 3 days. They are always having layover where they are being seen by local vets, where they are being taken out of the crates, fed. So don't feel bad about sending your pet for a 2-day flight without a little amount of food. It's fine. After the flight, they will be fed. So that's always a good idea to have a really light meal before the flight. And they will have much water, which will be, well, at least good enough during the flight.
And most likely they will not be hungry, during the flight. They are a little bit anxious, and so that will be the difficulty for them. Is going to, remain just calm. That's the important thing. So I don't think they are going to eat much.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, that's very reassuring. Thank you for that. Insurance then, what happens with insurance? You have insurance presumably on a corporate level. What insurances do people have to take out for themselves?
That is an important question, actually. The insurance for pets, it's, comparing to moving, when we do a move, we do insurance for our belongings. And people say, well, but how can I insure something that I have for 30 years? You can't. And something personal, you can't, because in the end of the day, those are also feelings. You understand? So to say about a pet, how can we give an insurance for a pet? So basically the insurance available for a pet, it's basically the same we have as we travel. Okay. We do have insurance for each of them. It's based on a value as well. But it's usually for the travel. Okay, it covers if they get ill, or if there's any trouble, in the country of destination, or in the middle, if they have trouble to, like Australia, if they go to a country and they have to stop there and they are not able to get another flight, or something happen, then that insurance will kick in. It will cover the hotel. It will cover, the expenses that we don't want to, or that we are not expecting to happen. Okay, that's what the insurance is for. All right, or if they get ill, if there's something happening to them, while traveling. That's why we have insurances for pets for traveling.
Thank you for that question, Joanna. Joanna goes on to ask, and I think you covered this before already. It's dogs and cats that you focus on. Pet goats, presumably you'd have to refer that to a different company.
Well,
I'm not joking. That's an actual question.
We are specialized in pets, or dogs and cats, but also we do transport pets in any way we find possible and safe. Yeah. And normally we do it by plane. Okay. I think because as I told you before, we are quoted on volume. Yes. And animals that are bigger than let's say a Labrador or a Golden Retriever, the amount of the values being paid normally depend. It would be worth it to take, let's say, a transportation by road. It depends, of course, to the States wouldn't be possible. So the thing is, when we talk about volume, when we start to speak about big animals, things starts to get complicated, and then you have the requirements, dogs and cats, something that it's done in a big scale. So there are some procedures that are quite easy to follow. When we, for instance, we have been working or thinking about working with rabbits, which is something so easy, so cute on the palm of the hand, but the requirements are so different that it's a new area to begin with.
So not out of the question, maybe Joanna, have a chat with Ricardo separately on what that might cost and look at the specifics there. As with anyone else's inquiries that are quite personal and specific, we'll make sure that we've got the details to get in touch with Luis and Ricardo. Roadrunners, we had tech difficulties earlier on in the so this will be published to YouTube. And you'll be able to see the earlier part. And we have focused on pet relocation. And in the hands up session afterwards, we can certainly cover any aspect because we have Luis here as well. But seemingly people are enjoying focusing on the fur babies and moving them to Portugal this evening. Okay. So yeah, Ricardo Bento and Luis Duarte are with us tonight from Global International Relocation. My two cats are very bonded with each other, says Desiree. Another question, and might be better off in the same crate. Do you do it that way? So can pals travel together, pet pals?
Well, it could be done, but I have to be honest, it's not easy, okay? It depends of each airline. The one that, on my experience, it's more friendly on those matters, it's a KLM. But then it always depends if they, I don't know how to say it in English, but if they came from the same mother, it helps. If they are newborns, it helps. Yes. But it's never easy. It can be done, and there are some exceptions because it's always an exception. Okay, but airlines normally do not facilitate that much. Okay, it's possible, and we have to see case to case because most of the times we do not select the airline. It's the airline that we have that better fits our needs for that proper transportation, depending on destination, breed, and so on. So we always have to see. So I'll be happy to receive more information about that pet relocation specifically and see what we could do.
Perfect. Okay, and that's on companions traveling together, again, case by case basis. And from Sarah and Adam, thank you for this. Sarah and Adam, good evening to you. And if there are, I mean, we seem to have a focus on pet owners and moving pets tonight. Of course, we can talk about any area of shipping to Portugal. Luis is here to do that for us. So if you've got any more general questions about shipping.
I'm not the important person tonight.
Well, it must feel like that. And I'm so sorry. For you.
I'm okay with that.
If anybody wants to help Luis feel a little bit better about some of the other services on offer, do put a question into the chat now. But Sarah and Adam's question is it correct that you can't fly pets into Faro at the moment because pet customs is closed? So Lisbon is the only option currently. I think that's probably a COVID development, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there are Porto as well, but from Faro, absolutely, from Lisbon. There are some airlines that, of course, at the cabin with really small pets, they sometimes accept, but when they need to travel in the cargo hold or as cargo, absolutely, Lisbon,
Is
the
best.
solution, yeah.
Gold standard. Okay. All right. And then a final question for now. We'll go to hands up, and the premium members can ask their questions in just a moment. But this is a specific just over 7.5 kilo Lhasa Apso, which is a snub-nosed breed. What are the options there? Presumably you've dealt with Lhasa Apsos before.
Today I took Bidu to the airport. Bidu was traveling to Viracopos in São Paulo. It was a Lhasa Apso as well, and he traveled with KLM. Okay, they accepted the breed. However, they have a difficulty breeding. So what they do is they accepted having a bigger crate in order for to avoid any stress, to be able to facilitate the transportation. So their requirement is the crate to be bigger than the normal. Normally they say 10%. It's hard to say it or hard to evaluate it. But yeah, by KLM, Lufthansa do that breed as well. So that will always depend on origin and destination. And once again, finding the best solution.
This is so good. It's so reassuring to know that so much care and attention does go into this, and that you can be resourceful and find different ways as well to suit your needs and your concerns. Okay, general questions then. Thank you for these, Luis. This is all helpful info, say Theo and Sunil, but we are interested in general all-purpose info about moving household goods, like what is the deadline for bringing in goods after migrating? Oh, this is a great question, isn't it? About the, I suppose this is to avoid having to pay extra duty on moving your things, and what are the time limits on that? Yeah, what's the situation here, Luis?
Well, the situation with taxes and duties in Portugal, it's very simple. It's actually a general rule. You have to be in the origin country for at least a year, okay? And once you come to Portugal, you can't be in Portugal for more than a year for your belongings to arrive. So imagine, if you are in Portugal for a year, a complete year, because of whatever situation, imagine because of COVID, you came to Portugal, you could not fly back, you see, and the year passed by and all your documents in Portugal are taken care and all of that, you are registered in Portugal already, a year passed by. Now if you want to take your goods to Portugal, now you will pay taxes and duties.
All right.
I'm not saying you can't move, okay? You can move, but you will be paying taxes and duties. Okay.
Okay. A year then. A year is your window for doing that. Vanda, good evening to you. I have a household goods question. If our belongings are already packed and boxed and itemized, would you still ship them, or do you need to unpack and re-inventory such things?
Well, it depends. It depends on what does the client really want. Okay. So there's two options in that. If we do not pack, then we cannot insure it. Okay. If we do repack, then we can insure it. Okay. So that's the basics for that. We have had many containers coming from the US, sorry, where we only do is custom clearance and drop off the container. The clients have 3 hours, they unload everything, and that's it, you know. So it's a situation where the clients load the container. We just take care of customs clearance and delivering. Is this a move? In our sense as movers, it's not you know, the real move, you know, but for some clients it's all they want. All right, so it really depends on the need and what does the client really want. Okay.
Yeah.
More security, less security, save more money, you know, invest a little bit more, but have more assurance that things will arrive actually well. Okay, that's important decision to make, because in my perspective, if you invest to do a move, and usually it's not a small investment, so why not invest just a little bit more to be reassured that everything will arrive well, you see? Because it would be a bummer to receive the items home and you don't have any type of insurance, and you receive the goods and they are damaged. You see, so it's like you just feel, okay, I have spent all this money to do my move, but now it's, you know, I don't have it anyway, so it's sad, you know.
So there you go, Vanda. I hope that helps. I'm sure it does. Desiree, on shipping other things apart from pets, how long does it take? That's a good question for those things to get here. I thought it was something like 8 weeks. So my stuff should go before me, I think. So it's all about the timing, isn't it? How does this work? And how do you make sure you've got what you need when you arrive?
It's always about time. There's, it's true. It's in the pets, it's in the moving. It's always about time. And when we do an international move, especially overseas, we need to be aware that there will be a gap of time, that we will be without our items. And we need to understand that, okay?
Yeah.
It's not something that we just need to decide where do we want to not be with the items, at the origin or at the destination. This is always my question, Sometimes, imagine I am Portuguese, all right? Now I was going to the US. So what would I do? I would probably, first get my visa so I could go to the US. But if I have my visa already and my trip is planned, I would keep my family in Portugal with my family here as well, so they could be home safe, just everyone quiet. And then I would do the move. I would probably go myself to the US to be working, and I would be spending there 1 month or so. But my move would be on the way already, you see? Yeah. And once my move would arrive, or by the time it would arrive, I would bring my family up so they would meet. And so would not be, a whole family, of 4 or 5 guys in a hotel and stuff like that with all that. Imagine that, eating, bacon and eggs every single morning, For the first week is nice, but after 2 or 3, it would be tough, So that's the thing. I believe that for that time, from the US to Portugal, there's 2 times we need to be aware. First is the transit time. Transit time is the time from port to port. And in every proposal that we see this time. And we mistake thinking that time is the total time. And it's not the total time, okay? It's the transit time. Transit time from port to port. But the actual move usually takes 1-2 days to be packed. Then we have about a week to do custom clearance if we have all the documents ready to go to Portugal, okay? And that would be another conversation, all the documents to go to Portugal, and then we would arrive to Portugal, the container, and would take another week or a week and a half to do custom clearance and delivery then to the house. You see, so 8 weeks, it would be a good average to think, to be, just at ease with the move, but if you are shipping from other place, from China, from Singapore, then it's different, okay? Then you need to count another extra 4 weeks, okay, in that time.
Okay,
yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because you have about just 50 days on the ocean, stuff like that. So it's, you need to.
Amazing. Yes, it's incredible to really think about what goes on with this, because we just think about packing our stuff and then receiving it, but all of that stuff in the middle, so many variables. It's quite exciting when you think about it, and I'm sure that's part of the glamour of what you do. But for you, Desiree, yes, 8 weeks is a good guide. And I think Jerry quite liked the idea of eating bacon and eggs for 8 weeks. So not all bad necessarily in that scenario. Amit, a general moving question. Can we apply for the baggage certificate from Portugal?
Yes.
The first part. Okay, so a simple yes for that.
Well, you can, because you can send an email to the Portuguese consulate at the origin and request that, okay? But you have to be prepared to present documents from the US to them, all right? That's just the important thing. And again, there's a website called Portal das Comunidades, okay? Which is the portal where you have all the Portuguese embassies and consulates around the world, all right? That's a good website for you guys to go and check where is the consulate of Portugal of your residency, okay? That's important.
Okay, and thank you for that. And the second part of the question from Amit is, do we need a long-term lease before we can apply? I mean, you'll move the stuff for people, or do you have to make sure they've got an official address?
Yes, they do. They must have an official address, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Right. Without an official address. But again, can it be a long-term lease? Well, it would be best, or they could have just some postal address in Portugal as well. But that's the important thing to know is For the move to happen, a person must change their fiscal address to Portugal. Okay, so they cannot come just to Portugal to be living here and working for the US and doing their IRS in the US or in the UK or any other country. You see, they need to come to Portugal, but they have to move to Portugal, fiscally speaking. Yes. All right, because if they don't, then they will be paying taxes and duties. It's as simple as that. Okay, they can move, but they pay taxes and duties to Portugal. All right.
Okay, thank you for that, Amit. That's an interesting dimension that you bring to it. As usual, thank you for your question there. If you're bringing your belongings and you haven't bought a home yet, are there good climate-controlled storage options? And I mentioned that earlier on, didn't I? You are building even more storage options, I believe.
Yes, we are extending. We'll be having about 3,000 or 4,000 square meter of warehouse, you know, so it's, I usually say for the US, we are only a small garage. But for Portugal, we are very quite good size. Okay, so it's very good.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And thank you for that question, Janet. And part of the question was climate controlled. I'm taking that for granted that it's a climate controlled.
Yeah, our warehouse is climate. Well, if you see that, like there are warehouses that have, you know, machinery to do the climate control. What we have done in our warehouse is the building, how we build a warehouse is climate controlling, you see? So our warehouse is about 17 to 21 degrees all year long, you see? So never varies more or less than that.
And carbon neutral then, by the sound of it, without any electronic temperature control.
Yeah, because nowadays there's very good ways of building, you know, that if you build well, we know with all the temperature, the way of controlling the temperature to not be very cold inside or hot, then you are okay. You don't need to have, and Portugal has that asset as well. You know, it's not.
I was just about to say, there are people who want to learn how to do that with a house, let alone storing stuff to keep that temperature throughout the year.
Yeah, there you go.
Alison, could we hear about the various sizes of cargo crates available from your company and how far in advance can we take delivery of the crate before the pickup date? Great questions. And maybe this is the time to bring in some mention of cost as well. I know it's very difficult because, you know, you're making complete guesses and we're giving a for instance here, but some indication of the cargo crates, how soon they can be delivered before the move, and what sort of costs we're talking about, gentlemen.
Are we talking about, when you say delivering crates, are you talking about delivering cardboard to the house, or are you talking about having the goods inside of the warehouse store?
No, I think this is the crates that you're delivering to Alison's house for her to pack.
Okay. So basically, we don't get a wooden box and deliver to the house. Okay, what we do is that we usually, and generally speaking, the service we tend to provide is a full service. Okay, so we see the volume and we go to the house only one time. We go there, we do the full packing. The client has not to worry about a single thing. We do the whole pack, we do the inventory, and then we come and collect. If the client wants to do the packing themselves, then the difficult part here is that even if it's LCL, you don't know what's an LCL. It's a part of a container. Okay, so we have a full container, and an LCL is a loose container load. It would be just a small part in the container where your move can go. To Portugal, it's not very recommended to do LCLs unless we have 3-4 people that we can get together and share a container. You see, because if we don't, then it becomes expensive to send LCLs to Portugal. All right. So LCLs, we always advise no more than 5 to 6 cubic meters, and that's really like the limit. Okay, after that it becomes more expensive to send an LCL than an FCL, which is a full container load, even if half empty. Okay, so you can have a container half empty and send it to Portugal, and you will pay less than if you would pay, that space in an LCL. So that's important.
Logistics. I understand that. Yeah, economies of scale and so on. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. And what are we talking about cost-wise?
Well, are you talking about what, an LCL like a 6 cubic meter coming to Portugal?
Well, it's probably more useful to talk about, moving a family of 4 people from a 3-bedroomed home in the US over to something similar in Portugal? What are we talking about, roughly speaking?
Well, if you're talking about a full container, a 20-foot container usually is a normal size for a family, okay? Yeah. Which is 20 to 30 cubic meters. We would be considering like 8 to 10,000 euros, something like that, okay? Overall, all right?
Overall, so that's not just for the container, that's the whole
I'm talking about the move itself. You see, like you need to have a budget for that move of that value, about that, you see. Now, I can tell you also one thing, like we have had from Texas, people bringing a smaller shipment, you know, that the estimate was for 8 cubic meters was 5,800. So you see the difference? and it's like, and sometimes you bring a full container and it's less. Now, we need to be aware of one thing. Talking about numbers is dangerous, all right? Because we cannot be quoted on numbers. Oh, Luis told me that would be 8,000 or 10,000, and now you are quoting me 12,000, you know? It really depends on the type of service that we are coming that we really need to discuss, okay? We need to see the excesses. We need to see where is this coming from. If this is coming from Idaho, from Colorado, I'm just talking about the US, okay? Even if it's coming from, you know, some odd place in the UK or from Australia or from South Africa or from Zimbabwe, imagine, you know? So this is important to know, where is this coming from? And what's the peculiar part in my house? I am coming from New York. Okay, I live in this very nice apartment close to the, you know, the Empire State Building. Now, that's wonderful. Now, how am I going to put the truck there to load that stuff? You see, that's the important thing. So I need to load that in smaller vans and take it to my warehouse, and there I will load the full container. You see, so that's the important thing. And now, do I have an external lift? Do I go through the lift of the building? Do I have parking permit in New York? What do I do? You see, there's crates for my very nice, you know, Monets, or will I do, you know, I need to understand the specifics of my move. And knowing that, I can manage it in the best way possible. Now, I can assure one thing, is that Global International, we always strive to give the very best price, okay? And that's our effort. We want to give the price for that service, and which is the fair one. We are not, and some people say, oh, I got half price. Okay, go with half price. Okay, you might get half service, but I don't really care about that. It's important just to know that we need to care about our priorities. And my role, and our role actually in Global International, is to support you with that. In the end of the day, if we don't do the move or even the pet transportation, it's not a problem, because we are here to support you to know the calculus for your family, you know, and in the end of the day, you decide what you want to do. And that's the important thing.
Perfect. So a rough idea there, but a good idea to send a message to info@global.pt, or go to the website, find out more at globalmobility.pt. And then finally from you, Ricardo, a rough idea then with pet transportation for my Lhasa Apso from the US, from my New York apartment block surrounded by my Monet, and shipping him over to Portugal.
Well, to be honest, I'm more familiar with shippings departing from Portugal, but I would say that we have to assume all costs, some 1,500, well, not that much, because your Lhasa Apso wouldn't be that big, but I would say 1,500 if you count with all the costs associated. The big one, it's always the air freight, but then you always have those boarding fees, administrative fees, custom clearance in Portugal, vet inspections, because your pet would need to have a vet inspection arriving into Portugal. It's mandatory. Yeah. So those little fees would add up to that amount.
Very good. And
not that Rottweiler though. That would be tough.
Louis said, these are rough guides just to give you an idea, and some lovely feedback coming in for you. These guys are real pros, says I'm very happy with them so far, just signed my contract. And Susan, yes, and Global has been very accommodating when we ask specifics. Every situation is unique, and we can say that so far we're very pleased with Global. Isn't that fantastic? So thank you very much for that. There was one final question that was really helpful that I'm trying to find now. I think it came in just now. Yes, is there a discount for members? That's a good question, isn't it? And yes, there is. 5%. Which makes these guys' eyes water. They're competitive already, but we're pushing them for another 5% discount for our premium members. So thank you very much for that, gentlemen. And you've been amazing tonight. info@global.pt, and go to the website, all the W's, .globalmobility.pt. A final word from you.
I was going to say that if you guys want to also check, our pets website, you come to our globalpets.pt, okay? And you can just check here, about all, it's a very simple website, but in the international transport part, you can see some important information, okay, like about the planning, the required documentation, and canals as well, stuff that Ricardo was talking about. So these would be important things to know, to come and check here. And of course, you are more than welcome to come and talk with us. All right. We are always very happy to be talking with you and to receive everyone. Okay. That's our main, and we do like to do this, what we are doing right now, but with all our clients. Okay. We like to have a face-to-face conversation to understand the needs and to be able to, just share experiences. We are all people and we are here to support each other. All right. And in the end of the day, that's what matters. Okay.
Thank you. And so the most friendly, excellent, and most handsome, I have to say, relocation moving company, probably at Portugal. And are you thinking of bringing out a calendar maybe as well? Because that could be quite, the marketing man's here. I think a calendar, a global international relocation calendar.
That would be funny.
Final question then, from Lucy. When can I go out for a walk? Does Lucy got anything to add?
Lucy, she will reply to you. As I say, if vamos embora? Vamos embora, Lucy? Vamos?
Come on, Lucy.
Lucy didn't find our conversation very interesting. No, she was asleep the whole time.
She was asleep the whole time.
I was trying my best to keep her awake. But any particular fan mail, it's lucy@global.pt. Gentlemen, you've been fantastic. And Lucy, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay where you are, though. We've got hands up.